BlogTalk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. My name is Chrism, and I would like to welcome you to this program. Joining me today, once again, we are so blessed and we are so fortunate to have Julia Rainier here. And say hello, Julia.
Hi, everybody.
I hope you could hear that. She seems kind of soft-spoken when it comes to the radio. And I would like to also welcome the Queen, I should say the Celtic Queen of questionable comfort, Her Holiness, Amelia Centaura.
Woohoo! Hello, everybody. Good to be here. Hello, Julia. I can hear you very well. It's good to be here, Chrism. I'm looking forward to the show. I'll begin, as I always do, by letting listeners know where they can go if they would like to make a donation. The place is www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. And on the upper right-hand corner, you will see the donate button. And as I always say, it's very easy to follow the instructions after that. If anybody is interested in making a donation in some other way, then they can get in contact with me at kundalinimatters@gmail.com, and I can let them know how to make a donation through the bank. Again, we always say every week that there is, no absolute requirements. There's no expectation on anybody to make a donation. I simply give this information because people want to know where they can give a donation to help support the work that Chrism does. This is Chrism's full-time work. He works at this all the time, except when he sleeps. And so, yes, donations are necessary. So people who are in a position to do that and people who want to do that, donations are very, very welcome indeed. So you can go again, I'll tell you it again, it's Ascension, www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. And if you don't have a biro and you just Google Ascension Kundalini Blogspot, you will get the address that way. So that's it, Chrism. That's the only notification I have, and looking forward to the show. I have some questions as well if you want to ask them later on.
Well, it's interesting. Once again, welcome to everyone. It looks like we might be having another sound problem. People in the forum, people aren't being able to hear. So MJ and Fast G and Elizabeth and anybody else, let us know if you would.
I'll type a message because they obviously can't hear what you're saying. 2 minutes, let me go do that.
Okay, very good. So even though they may not be able to hear what we're saying, the BlogTalk is still recording. And so I just want to say to everyone out there, especially for those of you listening in the archives and listening on your computer, it's recording. And so here we go. Kundalini can bring about very, very specific changes in a person's temperament. You can go from 0 to infuriated in less than a nanosecond, and it's very important for you to understand the level of emotional balance that it takes for people to have Kundalini without flying off the handle. As I drive around the country with Julia in the car, the Kundalini will come up with certain levels of testing for her to go through with regards to an emotional content. How do you handle somebody who's directly challenging you? How do you handle someone who's challenging you and say not the best way? This is a very, very important aspect because it can engineer how you are heard and how you hear yourself within the context of just communication with your family, your friends, your job, perfect strangers. You need to understand that the Kundalini is amplifying not just your physical body, but also the emotional body and the mental body and the spiritual body and the egoic or the psychological body. So it's very important for you to understand how to temper your emotional drives, your emotional content. And I got to say that this is not something that we learn so well in the West, in the Western technological countries. Of course, we learn from our parents at home, don't hit your sister, don't hit your friend, don't be rude or things like that. But once we get past the age of 12, or once perhaps we leave the nest or the home, we're basically, allowed to express ourselves any way we wish. And if we haven't received the information very well as a child, then we're certainly going to be expressing along the lines of childish behavior, in our young adults, let's say in our late teens and 20s. And if the Kundalini comes up during that time period, which it sometimes does for people, it's very, very important to be able to regain emotional stability while you're having the Kundalini. And even as an adult, and let's just say that you were raised well and you learned how important it is to be polite and to have manners and to treat people well and be kind and considerate and listening. When the Kundalini comes and you get that spike in your emotional body, well, you're not prepared for that. You're not prepared for having such a hot emotional trigger to any kind of a interaction that involves your emotions. And so be very, very, very aware of this as you go into your Kundalini. For those of you that are looking at Kundalini, look at your emotional balances as much as you look for the physical phenomena that will accompany the Kundalini, because it's not to be taken lightly. Your emotions, in many ways, can rule your Kundalini experience. And if your emotions, go bad on you, if your emotions go bad on you, then it doesn't really, your enjoyment of the physical phenomena goes right out the window. So really, really pay attention to your emotional responses inside the Kundalini. I don't care if you're a politician running for office. That's just, that kind of a star chamber is all about having emotional control and learning how to get your point of view across without, going into, say, a 12-year-old mentality. Or if you're a boss at a big company, just because you're at the top doesn't mean you can be an emotional idiot. I'm talking to you. Now, watch your emotions. The scenario is, the emotions are very, very essential and a very, very key ingredient to having the Kundalini in a safe and balanced way. You really need to understand that. Get your head around that. Get your heart around that. And begin to self-modulate how you respond emotionally to anyone. Okay? Do you always have to be right? Thank you. Thank you, guest number, that's a long number, 116777492. They're telling me that I can be heard all right. And thank you very much for that confirmation. It's very, very nice of you. So do you always have to be right? How do you feel when someone contradicts you? How do you feel? And how does that amplification the Kundalini brings, how does that make you feel even more along an emotional line of understanding? So it's very important for you to begin to take stock of that. With Kundalini people, it's very easy to fly off into a rage. On the freeway or because your country's leaders aren't taking you in a direction that is healthy, like here in the United States. It can get you very, very, riled up. And I want you to really just take a breath through your nose. Take a deep breath through your nose about 3 times and just let the tension go. Let yourself relax. You don't need the high blood pressure. You don't need the elevated heart rate just because, this is a new area of emotional exploration for you to have. It's absolutely natural. The emotions really, this is where your compassion comes from. This is where your consideration comes from. This is where the blessings of love are emanated into those around you. This has a very strong influence on the quality of your Kundalini radiance. Remember that I've spoken in other shows, this almost a mile circular square footprint that a awakened Kundalini radiance can cover. All of the living beings within that radiance will feel the quality of that radiance. And that includes the plants, the microbes, the fungi, the people, the animals, the insects, the birds, the fish, everything. And even qualities of consciousness that we have yet to discover as being actual creations, because we can't measure it, such as those that are in the air and in the sky around us. And so, I can't speak highly enough about how important it is to have emotional stability while you're having the Kundalini. And remember, you may have had a hard time of it as a kid. You may have been abused physically, sexually, emotionally, mentally. You may have suffered all kinds of different levels of abuse, certainly within the realm of karmic balancing. And some of these trigger points may still be very, very hot button issues with you. Certainly with, if you were really, really traumatized as a kid, you're compartmentalizing your soul in a shamanic term. You have a soul fracture that is, it's causing a disturbance in your energetic understanding of how you are. And so once again, you need to go in there and you need to find that child that you were, and you need to bring that child back into a harmonic convergence, shall we say, with your Kundalini radiance. And one of the ways you do this is you go into a meditation, and if you're going to use a shamanic journeying point, you'll look. I'm just going to give you this technique right off the bat. You go into meditation, a soft, gentle meditation. Imagine that you're sitting on a log somewhere. It can be in a meadow, it can be on the beach, it can be in a desert, it can be in your backyard. And I want you to turn, when you get the feeling, you'll get the feeling and you'll turn to your left. You'll turn to your left. And you'll just look at the first animal that you see there. I don't care if it's a grasshopper, a praying mantis, a jackrabbit, a deer, a tiger, a wolf, orca, heron, eagle, doesn't matter. That is the spirit animal that can help you find your soul fragment. And as you see that animal, just say, because I have Lasha here, I'll just say, I see Lasha over there. So Lasha becomes my spirit animal in the shamanic quest to retrieve a soul fracture. So I asked Lasha, I say, Lasha, go into the three worlds, the world of the heavens, the world of the treasures, and the world of the lower world. So basically you have a trinity of worlds, and hello, Trinity, Kundalini, it goes right there with us. The shamanism and Kundalini go hand in hand. So I'd say, Lasha, please find my soul fragment. Please find, not quite getting what that is you're saying there, but okay. Please find the part of me that is causing emotional imbalance from any time in my previous existence, and Lasha will basically bring that soul up. She'll either bring that soul up or she'll take you to where that soul is. And then you have to coax that child fragment to you and let it know that it's safe, and let it know that it's loved, and let it know that the abuse that it had will not be repeated, and that it's okay to come back and rejoin the whole body as as an accepted working member of that whole body. And when you do that, boom, that soul fragment has been rejoined with your energetic anatomy. It's very, very important for people to do this. Now, you don't need a shaman to do this. Now, if you're possessed with entities, that's going to be a different kind of a problem for you, and I'll get into that in a second. But if you're just beginning to come into the Kundalini, if you're just beginning to look at where your emotional blockages may be with regards to having an amplified emotional body, very important for you to look into this. And this is a self-psychological healing modality that you can use sitting right there in your living room, your bedroom, your kitchen, your office, your desk, your car, wherever you're hearing this. You can just go into that soft meditation, wait, and you'll just kind of get the feeling when to turn your head to the left. To the left. And then whatever animal you see there, and it won't be a person. You see a person, that's more of an entity interference. You just want to ignore that. Whatever animal you see, I don't care if it's a snail, a slug, an ant, these creatures do not have the same meaning in this state as they do in a terrestrial or worldly way. Okay, so you turn your head, you look at that animal. I see Lasha. And then you ask Lasha to find a soul fragment that is blocking your emotional balance right now, in your lifetime right now. And then she'll either take you to that soul fragment, and that soul fragment you can question, you can, what happened to you? Oh, I see. Oh, my gosh, well, that's not going to happen to you anymore. I want you to know that I love you, that I will take care of you, that you're safe with me. Do not be afraid. Open and come into us, and let us be friends again, and let us be together again. And once that happens, once that rejoining occurs, you'll find in most cases that the blockage that has accompanied you throughout your entire life is now gone. And the Kundalini will fill in those blank spaces with its own grace. And you will once again have balance within that measure of your emotional anatomy. So take this advice, take this clearly. This is very, very basic soul retrieval technique. It's a lot of people go, oh gosh, I got to pay the shaman $1,000 in order to. That was not me, and I have not eaten at Taco Bell, I swear. That's some guy on a motorcycle running by here. Okay, so, what was I saying with that grounding? You don't need to pay a shaman $1,000 to do this. You don't need to pay anybody to do this. This is something you can do for yourself. Granted, the shaman might give you some tobacco smoke and some sage and rattles and, put you in a teepee or some sort of a hut, the surroundings might help you. And if that helps you, fine. That's all good. Also, if you're taking ayahuasca will also identify these areas for you, taking you to these areas of blockage where you can find resolution. Another possibility is just, if you already have the Kundalini flowing, you can just ask the Kundalini. And in many ways, you can just go into levels of forgiveness. You forgive those who committed abuse against you, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, any of the abuses that many, many children encounter. You can go into the Kundalini itself and ask it to help you unblock that abusive blockage. Now, if you have any questions about this, I have to tell you that today's show is going to be an abbreviated show because I have to pack for Minnesota. I'm leaving for Minnesota tomorrow at 5 in the morning. And so Julie and I have a lot of packing to do. And so this will be an hour show, and my apologies to anybody that was hoping that it might be a longer show. I apologize, but I do have to get my gear together. If you would like to talk about this, please call in, area code 347-934-0026. Just a quick aside here. Anybody that wants more information, you can go to the YouTube channel, Chrism.Kundalini, and that'll give you all of our 300 videos on YouTube. You can also go to Kundalini Awakening Systems 1, that's the number 1.com. You can go onto the Yahoo network, and it's Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 at Yahoo Groups. .com, and then we can also be found on Facebook at Kundalini Awakening ! And Kundalini Awakening Systems 2 or 3, Kundalini Healing. Yes. Kundalini Healing. And then we are also on Google Plus, I believe they call it, which I don't know how to operate, but Google Plus. We have a group there, and we can also be reached there. So any of these areas that people need to explore with regards to their Kundalini. I remember in my early process, I couldn't find any information about the Kundalini. My Kundalini is really what sculpted my mission in life. When I awoke, first of all, I came into this body with pre-awakened from another lifetime of having Kundalini. But that doesn't mean you get to remember the lifetime like many people think. That just means that you come in and you have Kundalini phenomena and you don't know why. Okay, and that phenomena will drive you towards the second awakening, at least for the soul, but maybe the first awakening for that flesh body. And so when the flesh body was awakened at the age of 30, I had no clue what was going on. I mean, I remember my childhood, and I got a lot of this, the phenomena, symptoms from my childhood, and that was okay. I learned to get used to that. But, the snake being in the spine, your spine turning into a serpent, seeing all these serpents around you, having serpents, land on your feet, or butterflies land on your shoulders, or birds land on your hand. And that was just kind of weird. I mean, great. I loved it. I felt very honored and blessed, but I couldn't find any information about this back then. There was no internet, and cell phones were still new, if that tells you how old I am. So my course in life got shifted from where it was to where it is right now. And that shift has been towards giving people honest, clear, integrity-based information about the Kundalini awakening without the baggage of religion, without the baggage of any kind of a specific belief system. Because as I said in other programs, where religions end, that's where Kundalini begins. And I know, but some of you who are interested in the Vedic areas, that's a little harder because the Vedic does include opinions about the Kundalini, but not within a Western civilization context. And this is where it can really go wrong. It almost seems like you have to become a Hindu in order to understand Vedic-based information systems about the Kundalini. And I'm telling you right now, you don't. I'm sitting here in Northern California with the beautiful, lovely Julia Rainier from Minnesota. She's got a Tibetan Buddhism background, but she's also got a Christian background. None of them are Hindu-based. She gets a Shaktipat at the seminar we did in Minnesota last time, and all of a sudden she starts chanting Hindu chants. So you know where she was before this body. So yeah. I mean, it's just the Vedic information is good, but it's not the only source of information. For instance, the Taoists in China really understand the Kundalini. They understand it, but they don't understand it to the point where they can really ascend with it. They try to control it at every step of the way. And once again, I'm far more. I feel it's far more productive to surrender your life to the Kundalini and let the divine guide you, as I have let it guide me, into what the new life choices can bring for you. If you'd like to talk about this, I'd like to talk with you about this. The number is 347-934-0026. And if Her Holiness, the greatness of Ireland, the I in the Ireland, the R in the Ireland, if Her Holiness would come on board, I believe she has some questions that she would like to ask. Or she could be sitting on the toilet at this moment. Ah! Did you write?
Just got back. No. Yes, I have a few questions, Chrism. Two have been written in that are not in the groups. So one of them is, people talk about the light of Christ. Is there any connection between this and Kundalini?
Yeah, that's a great question. Just a little while ago, I had one of my French students with me, Magdalene de Deus. And we were traveling all over the country. We were traveling overseas, and she was doing, very similar to what Julia is doing right now. And we visited inadvertently. I had to get a T-shirt for the kids of one of my students, and so we were there in San Francisco. We had just got off the Mason Street cable car, Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco, that cable car. And we were walking towards the wharf, and it was kind of a dark area, and I would not have allowed her to walk there alone. But I was there, and so I didn't see any problem with it. And we crossed the street to a corner, and all of a sudden, a figure emerges from the corner and confronts us. And, I'm going to get bliss. Oh, hang on. Oh, wow. It's hard to talk about this without going into bliss. And I can't talk when I'm in bliss. So maybe I should talk about this. A figure came up, and it was Christ. It was the Christ. And Magdalene was immediately instructed to get onto her knees and to give a gift to this figure from her hand to its hand, and she did, and it was very, very, it was a beautiful, amazingly gorgeous. I can't tell you how strong a moment it was, but it wasn't strong in the way that you would think, because the Christ doesn't come in all lit up and fluorescent and, surrounded by 21 angels that are like little kids, it's just like Christ just kind of shows up looking like a regular person, but you can feel the energetic signature of this being and hang on. I shouldn't talk about these things because I just can't. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, the light of Christ is basically the radiance of the Kundalini that is around Kundalini people. It's just a stronger form. Christ wants everyone to have their Kundalini awakened. Ask Saint Teresa of Avila. Ask Saint John of the Cross. Ask Saint Francis of Assisi. Ask Saint Hildegard of Bingen. These people all saw Christ that way. Okay, Christ is not in our modern, shall we say modern, in our different time zone, in our different level of physical manifestation of what we call technology. At our core, we are still beings that are searching to discover our own divinity. And this is what the Christ wants to see happen. This is not the first time Christ has exposed itself to any of my students. It happens again and again. And it's the same level of power over and over and over and over. It's just like it happened the first time. Anyway, so the light of the Christ is a big deal. It is that light of God. It is that light of grace. A lot of people go, oh, well, is that the Holy Ghost? Well, there are so many different definitions of the Holy Ghost. You pick one. But I can tell you that the light that emanates from the radiance of Christ is both visible and in the invisible spectrum, or the non-visible visible spectrum. It is both seen and felt and experienced in layers of duality and non-duality at the same time. And I know that doesn't make sense to people who don't understand walking the edge of the Tao. Okay, but Christ is of this time and not of this time. The Christ force itself is an amazingly beautiful force that has been so completely misunderstood by the many Fasti, I'm going to read what Fasti just wrote on the chat room. He goes, Chrism, I would like you not to project so much bliss. I'm having a hard time over here. Blessings to you, Fasti, and anybody else that may be having the bliss. It's really strong. It's really strong. The Christ force has been clearly misunderstood by the many different denominations of Christianity and by the many different interpretations and personal agendas that have been injected into the teachings of the Christ. And so, but the Christ light really is all about the Kundalini. It is the same level of radiance that Santara has, that Vashti has, that I have, that Julia has, that Magdalene has, that Elizabeth, Dalton Gonzalez, M.J. Henderson, everybody that has the Kundalini has a level of Christ light around them. You don't have to call it the Christ light, though. The Christ is not all about, oh, you must exalt me, or, oh, Christ isn't really out, Christ is not about self-aggrandizement. That's what people do to him. Christ doesn't need that. Only people need that. But the same thing with the Buddhic, with Buddha. Buddha will come to people that way. Zoroaster will come to people that way. Some of the Egyptian gods and goddesses will come to people that way. The white Tara will come to people that way. Green Tara will come to people that way. This is the way that the divine teaches us to come into itself. It will make these appearances, and you just don't want to make the mistake that most people in the United States will make, is going, oh, that's just my imagination. That wasn't real. Because I'll tell you what, your imagination is real. And you'll know that. Those of you that have Kundalini know that the imagination basically is surfing the astral, surfing other layers of existence that we can partake of, but because of our mistaken programming, we're not allowed to partake of that. Okay. So the Christ light is a real thing, and it's as real as the Kundalini light. When Julia looks at me, and she said this more than once, she sees all kinds of light coming from. Is that right?
That's absolutely true.
Yeah. Can they hear that? Can you hear that, Amelia?
Yes, Chrism, I heard that.
Very good. Thank you. So it is a real thing. Radiance is a real thing, and it's very important for people to understand that. It is not only seen, it is felt. It is not only felt, it is known. It is understood. Maybe not by the mental mind or the ego mind, but every other aspect of your five-body system understands it. Next question, my dear.
Thank you, Chrism. Next question. I read on the group that many people dream of you, Chrism. Why does that happen? Do you astral travel to these people as they sleep?
Well, sometimes people get nightmares. That's all I can say.
True.
What it is that the exalted aspect of my Kundalini that travels to these people. Vashti and I were talking about this earlier in a conversation, and he said it's your high self, and I won't disagree with that, because it is an aspect of Chrism that is speaking right now, but not speaking right now. Kundalini is multi. How multiphasic. I'm not sure that makes any sense to anybody. It can be in a billion places at the same time. And it will come to you in the form that it wants you to learn from. So when people are dreaming of Chrism, that's because the Kundalini is injecting Chrism into their consciousness so that they can learn from what they're being exposed to in their waking life. It's also a form of permission. If I have perfect strangers, they call me up, they say, I've been having dreams about you, and I've been told in my dreams that I need to be your student or that you need to be my teacher, and I want to know if I may have permission to do that. And of course, when I hear that, I understand what's going on with them, and so of course they become a student. But the scenario is this is happening over and over and over again, and this also happens with these seminars. People dream of a seminar advertisement that I'll put in a New Age magazine or something like that before it's been put in the New Age advertisement. They say, I understand you're having a seminar at such and such, and I go, well, how do you know that? I haven't even put it in the magazine yet. Well, I was dreaming about it. So no, I don't astral project, and yes, I astral project. The person that is speaking into these microphones right now does not astral project. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can astral project anytime I want, but I don't astral project to each and every individual that is dreaming. That is the Kundalini in me that is doing that. And that should tell you about the wide, the wide horizon of possibility that Kundalini has. There is nothing impossible for divine radiance or divine consciousness to do. I don't need to know that person, but it will know that person. It's almost like within a population of 9 billion, certain flags are recognized in the consciousness of people. And when a certain frequency of flag comes up over a certain person, that Kundalini, the divine consciousness knows that person is coming into Kundalini, and it starts to direct that person. It starts to teach that person. It starts to guide that person to where they can get knowledge that is going to help them on their path. And so this is happening. This is happening a lot. This is happening lately. It happens all the time. And in many cases, it's an indication for the person to become that personal private student of Chrism. For many, that is the case. And whether they do that or not is strictly up to them. Some of them, their ego may be too strong at that point for them to go, oh my gosh, I need a teacher. I know that when I was early on in my practice, there's no way I was going to get a teacher. Oh my gosh, a teacher? Teacher of what? How can they know me better than I know myself? There you go. There's the hubris of the ego. Do I hear you laughing in there, Centaura?
Oh dear, I'm recognizing that.
Yeah, I don't need no
I
damn
didn't realize
teacher.
I was in the red.
I don't need no teacher to tell me what to do. The left, all those corrupt evangelists. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, like in my early process, there's no way I would have been able to hear that, but I remember it later on in my process. I remember it and go, well, geez, maybe that Chrism guy, I can at least check him out, see what he looks like at least, if he's got a long beard and a blue pickup truck, though, forget it. So the scenario with that is that, yes, I do astral project to people every night, and no, I do not astral project to people every night. But I'll tell you what, it gets done. Next question.
Thank you. Okay, why does Kundalini cause so much pain if it is a loving force?
It's not so much the Kundalini that's causing pain, it's the person's resistance to it. about as causing pain. And actually, in the early aspect of the awakening, the activation, even the physical system itself is not used to having such tremendous levels of energy pushed through the cellular structures, and even that can cause, a level of physical discomfort. Ask a child, ask a 2-year-old. The 2-year-old is asking mom, how come, if teeth are so good, how come they hurt so hard when they're coming in? Can you answer that for me, Julia? If teeth are so good, how come they hurt so much when they're coming in?
Because the body's not used to that.
Because the body's not used to that. And neither, and the Kundalini is even far more powerful than a person that's going into teething. The Kundalini at first can be painful. Not always, though. I guess I have to say, it didn't cause me a lot of pain. It caused me a lot of mental concern, a lot of emotional concern, a lot of psychological concern. But I didn't get a lot of physical pain. I just got a lot of physical phenomena. When I say, I mentioned before having the spine turn into a serpent and having it kind of like, you undulate back and forth, right to left, like a serpent does, doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt at all. Doesn't hurt to have a butterfly land on you. Doesn't hurt to have a wasp land on you, say hello, and fly away. Wasps are telepathic, by the way. They can actually do that. It doesn't hurt, but sometimes it does hurt. If a person has, one of the reasons why yoga is so very beneficial is because it prepares the body to have physical kriyas that the Kundalini will bring about, which is why when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're doing downward dog or upward cow or whatever, what? Sorry. Downward dog. Anyway. Little bit of bliss here. Sorry. That you find yourself waking up in the middle doing some yoga position. Well, that's because yoga was designed by people wanting to have the Kundalini as an expression of people having Kundalini. Oh, it looks like we have a questioner. So yay! And I'd like to invite anybody else that has a question to call 347-934-0026. And Santara, if you would hover, when that person is ready to ask the question. The yoga, any of the yoga systems, whether it's Kundalini yoga, which takes its clue, Kundalini yoga takes two very, very important clues from the awakened Kundalini from whence it came. Meaning the people that practice Kundalini yoga, well, that yoga itself was designed from the observation of a person going into Kundalini, having the actual symptoms of Kundalini awakening, and so as the yoga is observed, well, since that's coming straight from the Kundalini, and these people are using it, for the most part ineffectually, to activate their Kundalini, it doesn't negate the quality of the yoga itself. So the person that is having Kundalini, if you start to adopt that yoga, that Hatha yoga, Kundalini yoga, Raja yoga, Bhakti yoga, any of these types of yogas, it will be beneficial to you because it is an expression of Kundalini. It's an expression of the Kundalini. Santara, Your Holiness, yes. Would you come on, please?
Yes, I'm here.
We have a question.
We do from Vashti.
Would you be hovering? It's
Vashti.
Well, you definitely want to hover over that guy. I tell you what.
I'm pushing him on now. Hovering.
Okay, watch it. Keep your finger on it. Mr. Vashti, it is so nice to hear you here. Hello.
Hi, Master. I I was listening to you, and I heard from the Kundalini an insight as to why people experience this thing of pain. And I recall you speaking of levels of density, and I wanted to just point that out, that the Kundalini is in a pure state of consciousness, that when it enters into the individual, that may be actually going through this experience of pain, it is just clearing the way. Because when, it's just sort of like a fish that might be swimming in dirty water and actually go into pure water. There are going to be some effects on the fish in order to become accustomed to this much more pure water that it's swimming in. And I guess that's a fairly good analogy of what happens when the Kundalini comes into our lives. It has to clear away a lot of the garbage and trash that we have from the programming that we receive from our parents, our teachers, those that we hold dear to us, and we respect their opinions. Well, the Kundalini has to work through all of this in order to establish a firm base in us. And so it may cause some measure of pain, but that pain is not something that will last forever. It is something that is almost like the detox experience that a lot of us go through when we're receiving Shaktipat from you. I'm going to be quiet here for a moment and let you speak, Master.
Oh, I think you're right on target with this. I think there is a lot of detox that happens, certainly in preparation towards the Shaktipat, like with the scatter field.
Absolutely.
A lot of detox happens, and that can be kind of an analogy to what you're saying, as far as swimming in dirty water and then coming into very, very pure water. If you've ever bought a goldfish and you take it out of that water at Walmart or wherever you're getting it, and then you put it in really clean, beautiful water, well, you see it's kind of stunned for a little bit, and it's taking in that new resource, and it's adjusting to it, and and things like that. With the Kundalini, though, you get the actual pain of. I like what you said as far as density, because the density of the body will respond in a tactile way to the Kundalini coming into it, and that can come out, in a painful way, just like teething, and that ties right into what we were saying about yoga, and how yoga, being from the Kundalini, prepares a person to have the Kundalini in a less painful format. But when we segue right into the emotional, emotional yoga is also important. And emotional yoga, i.e. forgiveness, tolerance, patience, trust, love, kindness, consideration, these are the emotions, the emotional yogas of the heart. And this also has a way of finding amelioration for the pain. And I know Amelia loves when I use the word amelioration. So
well, of course.
So yeah,
well,
you're right on target, my friend. As always, I just want to make an announcement that I will be blessed to meet face to face with Bashji at Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez's Kundalini at Mankrisa Castle in Washington State.
That means so will I.
Yeah,
that would be an honor.
And we're going to make some videos. We're going to make some videos of Bashji talking about his experiences and talking about his Kundalini awakening. And, Bashji and I have been communicating for over 7 years now. I remember him when he was just a young man. There
was hardly any time anywhere soon.
back in his 30s, you know.
May I just
Pastor, you've been on this track for quite a while, and you came out of a system that is almost a perfect segue into the Kunalini. Yes. You came from a belief system that was really very, very strongly practicing astral projection. To the point of
soul travel as well.
Charting the astral in certain ways, like level 53, level 17, that type of thing. And what a perfect segue into Kundalini that has been for you, and a perfect way for you to go from the belief system into the freedom to have the Kundalini. And as you know, talking about experiencing the pain, the pain of that separation was also the birthing pain of your invitation to Kundalini. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I was just thinking, as you said that, my initial activation was top down, and I see that organization or teaching that I was involved with was top oriented. Well, everyone with good sense knows that you have to have a good foundation in order for the top or upper part to make complete sense. And so it wasn't until I came into these teachings with you, Chrism, that it started to make complete sense. I even think that after one of the Shakti parts, I said I mentioned I'm complete now, I'm whole now, which meant that I realized that I needed very, very, very importantly the activation or the awakening of the Kunalini from the base to the crown as is normal, and so I felt a sense of being complete after this experience.
Well, it's and it's really you look at it from a outside of your situation from far back, and you can see that in your case A plus B does equal C. And you did need to go through that other belief system in order to learn what you learned there, in order to have that segue into the Kundalini. And I think even with Santara and Catholicism, a very similar scenario, wouldn't you say, Amelia?
Absolutely, Chrism. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So I really want to underscore for people that are listening right now that your previous life has had things that you needed to learn, lessons, educations that you needed to have, so that you could come into this grace that you're coming into with those educations intact, that you may draw on that experience, draw on whether it be devotion, whether it be astral projection, whatever it may be. The Kundalini knows you, and it knows your history, and it knows your karma, and it will adjudicate the levels of karmic dispensation that you may be having along the lines of the educations that it has arranged for you to have. And Basi, I just want to say thank you for being an administrator on the Facebook groups.
It's an honor.
Well, Santara, I'd like to thank you as well. I mean, it's very important to have Kundalini awake people working with the early Kundalini awakened membership. It's very, very important. We're getting about 100 people a week signing up on that group. So if that gives any of you that are listening to this more permission to listen, then please do and sign up on that group and partake of a Kundalini community. And this reminds me, Julie and I have been traveling all over the place up here in Northern California. We checked out Dome Living, which is basically living inside of a geodesic dome. They come in sizes from 16 feet, 23 feet, all the way up to 120 feet and more. And if you're interested in joining in a Kundalini community, which we are setting up, we have an investor who is ready to invest over $300,000 into land and into the different media that it takes to set up a community, tractors and domes and all the infrastructure that we would need to have a happy, healthy, productive, Kundalini awakened community. I would like you to join the Kundalini Radiance group, which is on Facebook right now, or you can contact myself, Chrism, and my email is kfireforall@yahoo.com. That's kfire4all at yahoo.com. And so, really, this is starting to take off. We will be placing ourselves into a very, very beautiful environment that has clean running spring water, that has beautiful, beautiful, stupendous energetic attraction to the Kundalini. Pine trees are a very strong energetic attraction for the Kundalini, and so I would invite everybody that wants to participate in this type of a thing to join up and take a hand in the organization and the implementation of such an amazing community of people, of enlightened people. This is a big deal, folks. This is the only one that I know of outside of Shangri-La, somewhere in the depths of Nepal and the Himalayas. We're not hiding. We're not hiding. We're out there. We're ready to embrace the divine within us, and we're ready to live that embrace. And so I just want to say thank you again, Fashchi, for coming on and giving an excellent teaching, and let everybody be advised, these are the levels of teaching that Fashchi will be giving when we see him in Washington State at Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez's seminar at Manresa Castle, Kundalini at the Castle, May 9th. Coming right up, however, it is Kundalini in the beautiful Twin Cities of Minnesota. And I'm going to bring Rosemary on. There she is. Your Holiness.
Yes, sir. Here I am.
Before you say anything, I'd like to introduce you. This is Rosemary Goliath. Rosemary has been a nun for over 25 years, Catholic sister in the order of some strange name or saint or something. Well, not a Carmelite, because I don't think Rosemary really likes caramels that much. But definitely a mother superior of the highest order. And she has an announcement for you.
Her first announcement was the life as a sister was quite a number of years ago. That was my early years. I don't currently. I live that lifestyle in my home, however, with my prayer and what I've learned. So thank you. Thank you,
what
our teacher.
What kind of a problem do you have with caramels?
Just what you said. I don't eat caramel, but the Carmelite was from the place Carmel.
That's caramel. Diet caramel?
Yeah. See, Teresa of Avila was a Carmelite, and she certainly was a Kundalini woman.
Definitely. She started the Carmelites, didn't she?
No, she reformed them. That was part of her work that I think Kundalini asked her to do, and it was difficult. She took on the church, she took on the local town, the leadership, and she reformed her community. So she's a foundress in a particular sense.
Very cool. And just like you, my dear, and the community that you are sustaining within the Twin Cities area of Minnesota. So I tip my hat to you, Rosemary.
Thank you.
Please continue with your announcement.
Well, thank you. And tomorrow I will be telling what's yours to tell, but I will be picking up our teacher at the airport here in Minnesota. He will be with us till the 23rd, and that main main reason for coming is the seminar 21 and 22. And if you have the slightest interest in it, please follow your guidance. And my information is rosemaryg@usinternet.com and 651-452-3161. I'm always happy to talk with somebody about this. And also, for those of you who are listening locally, Chrism will be speaking at the Healthy Living Expo in Minneapolis on Saturday and Sunday at 1 o'clock, and that is really just an amazing thing. I'm very excited about that, of the possibilities. And our community here will be assisting with what there is in the booth, and we're looking forward to greeting lots of people. Thank you for the inspiration, our teacher.
Well, thank you, Rosemary, for organizing this. I mean, Rosemary is the lead individual with regards to the Minnesota seminar, but also the expo. The people that run the expo met her and said that this might be a good thing for us to participate in. And whoa, here we go. We're all ready to go. I might even be bringing my special Shakti PA, a public address system that the Kundalini gave me bliss when I was kind of coerced into getting it, and because I would never have bought a PA without having that type of a guidance with it. And so not only is the PA a gift of the Kundalini, but so is the microphone that's coming through. And so yeah, very excited to be going to Minnesota tomorrow in the AM, 5 a.m. And yes, Santara, hello, my dear.
Hi, blessings to Rosemary and to you and Julia with the travel and with your time in Minnesota, Chrism. There's a message from Elizabeth, if I can give it now, in relation to her seminar. She's just asking if people are listening and they know that, they're coming to the seminar in Washington, then the hotel must have reservations made and she needs numbers. So if you know you're coming, she would ask you that you contact her and let her know that so she can book the reservations, the amount of rooms that are needed at the hotel. If people don't contact her...
I'm coming, Elizabeth. I'm coming. And
yes.
I don't need a big space, just, a closet.
Yeah, well, I think she knows that. And she knows I'm coming, and Rosemary, we've booked our rooms, but I think it's important. I understand where she's coming from, because sometimes people know that they're coming, but they forget that the person who's organising it needs the information in order to follow through on what they're doing at that side. So just a consideration.
Julia's coming, and I believe Eileen is coming.
Yes.
And so there's at least 4 or 5 of us coming. So that's enough to fill up a castle, isn't it?
And Fashti, remember?
Fashti.
Yes. So,
okay,
Chrism,
okay.
our hour is gone. Our hour has passed, and I think you have things to do.
So thank you, everybody, for listening. Remember, we have a seminar in the beautiful Twin Cities area of Minnesota. This will be happening on the 22nd and 23rd, right? 21st and 22nd, sorry. 21st and 22nd. We're also at the Expo, the Healthy Living Expo in St. Paul, I believe. And please look us up. Please come by and say hello. I want to say thank you to Rosemary and Eileen and Santara and Fashti and Julia for yes?
Just to say, Elizabeth has 21 people coming to the seminar so far.
21, and oh, wonderful.
Nice
Elizabeth.
number.
I would like everybody to know that if you see me in your dreams, just to say hello and just pay attention to what the Kundalini wants you to know and act on it. Don't be afraid. Remember, it's not just your imagination. You're having a real vision come to you and give you instruction. I want to thank everybody who is listening in the archives. Hello, you future people. And thank you, everyone, for joining us in this wonderful broadcast of conversations, Kundalini conversations. So thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.